You think you're alone? Good. So was Kiyotaka Ayanokoji. And look what that created. You sit in your room at night, phone in your hand, silence around you. No one texting, no one checking in, no one asking how you're doing. You scroll through other people's lives, laughter, friendships, groups, relationships, and you start to feel it. That weight, that question. Why am I alone? Listen carefully. Loneliness is not a curse. It is a test. Most people fail it. Ayanokoji didn't. He wasn't surrounded by love. He wasn't raised with warmth. He didn't grow up with friends cheering him on. He was placed inside the white room, a place where emotions were stripped away, where weakness was erased, where comfort did not exist. And what did that isolation do? It built control. It built awareness. It built a mind that doesn't break under pressure. You think being alone means you're unwanted. Wrong. Being alone means you've been given space. Space to observe. Space to improve. Space to sharpen yourself without distraction. The problem is, you're using that space to feel sorry for yourself, instead of using it to transform. When you're alone, there's no audience, no validation, no applause, and that's exactly why it's powerful. Because when you train in silence, you don't train for attention. You train for dominance. Understand this. Weak people run from loneliness. Strong people weaponize it. When Ayanokoji entered Advanced Nurturing High School, he didn't rush to make friends. He didn't beg for connection. He observed. He calculated. He blended in. He studied everyone like pieces on a chessboard. Why? Because isolation teaches you something noise never will: clarity. When you're constantly surrounded by people, you start living according to their expectations. Their opinions shape your behavior. Their approval becomes your fuel. But when you're alone, you're forced to confront yourself, your flaws, your laziness, your insecurities, your excuses. And most people can't handle that confrontation, so they distract themselves. Endless scrolling, endless talking, endless complaining, anything to avoid sitting in silence with their own thoughts. But growth happens in silence. You say you have no friends. Good. That means no one is slowing you down. No one is pulling you into drama. No one is distracting you from your mission. You feel misunderstood? Perfect. That means you're thinking differently. The path to becoming dangerous is not crowded. It's empty. Because most people choose comfort over evolution. Ayanokoji understood something you still haven't. Emotions are tools, not masters. When you feel lonely, your emotions tell you. You need people. You need attention. You need validation. But your logic should respond. I need discipline. I need skills. I need power. You don't build value by being surrounded. You build value by building yourself. Alone. In silence. In the dark. Let me ask you something. If 10 people suddenly started texting you every day, if your phone never stopped buzzing, if you were invited everywhere, would you suddenly become stronger? Would your mind become sharper? Would your goals get closer? You'd just be entertained. And entertainment is the enemy of greatness. Look at your current situation differently. You're not isolated. You're in training. The world removed distractions from your life. And instead of seeing it as preparation, you're seeing it as punishment. That mindset is weak. Ayanokoji never complained about his circumstances. He adapted to them, controlled them, used them. He didn't say, "Why am I alone?" He said, "Good. No one will see me coming." There's a difference between being alone and being abandoned. Being alone is temporary. Being weak is a choice. Right now, while others are laughing in groups, wasting hours, chasing temporary validation, you have time. Time to read, time to train, time to plan, time to understand how people think. Do you know how powerful it is to observe without being noticed? When you're not the loudest in the room, you hear everything. When you're not desperate for attention, you see everyone's true nature. Loneliness sharpens perception. It forces you inward. And inward is where real strength is built. You want friends? Become valuable first. You want respect? Become competent first. You want attention? Become undeniable first. No one respects potential. They respect results. Ayanokoji didn't demand recognition. He earned control, silently. And that's what you must learn. Stop romanticizing your loneliness like it's some tragic story. It's not. It's an opportunity most people never get. Because most people are never alone long enough to face themselves. You are. So use it. Use the nights when no one calls to study your craft. Use the weekends when you're alone to build your body. Use the quiet mornings to discipline your mind. Turn isolation into incubation. You feel like no one understands you? Good. That means you don't need to explain yourself. Move in silence. Improve in silence. Let them misunderstand you. While they're guessing your next move, you're already 5 steps ahead. Ayanokoji never revealed his true ability. He stayed average on the surface. But underneath, he was calculating everything. That's power. Real power is quiet. If you're alone right now, you have a choice. You can drown in self-pity. Or you can transform into someone unrecognizable. Pain is a signal. Loneliness is pressure. Pressure creates diamonds. But only if the material is strong enough. Ask yourself, are you going to break? Or are you going to evolve? Every time you sit alone and choose discipline over distraction, you win. Every time you feel that emptiness and still decide to work on yourself, you win. Every time you resist the urge to chase validation, you win. And those small wins, they compound. Slowly, silently, dangerously. One day the same people who never noticed you will wonder how you changed. They'll say, when did he become like this? They won't see the nights you trained alone, the hours you studied alone, the battles you fought in your own mind. But you'll know. And that confidence, it won't be loud, it won't beg, it won't chase. It will simply exist, unshakable. Ayanokoji doesn't fear isolation. He thrives in it. Because when you don't rely on anyone emotionally, no one can control you. That's the real lesson. Dependence creates weakness. Independence creates leverage. If your happiness depends on someone texting you, you're vulnerable. If your motivation depends on someone praising you, you're fragile. If your confidence depends on someone staying in your life, you're unstable. Detach, not from humanity, but from neediness. There's a difference. You can connect with people without depending on them. You can care without clinging. You can interact without losing yourself. But first, you must be complete alone. If you cannot sit in a room by yourself for hours without feeling uncomfortable, you are not ready for power. Because leadership is lonely. Excellence is lonely. Greatness is lonely. The higher you rise, the fewer people understand you. That's not a tragedy. That's mathematics. Most people operate at an average level. If you choose to operate above average, you automatically separate yourself. And separation feels like loneliness. But it's actually elevation. You say you're alone? Then build. Build a body that commands respect. Build a mind that sees through manipulation. Build skills that make you valuable. Build discipline that makes you dangerous. When Ayanokoji walks into a room, he doesn't need to announce himself. His presence is controlled. His emotions are measured. His reactions are calculated. That comes from training in isolation. You don't develop that in crowds. You develop that in silence. Right now, your loneliness is a mirror. It's showing you who you are without external influence. Look at it carefully. Do you like what you see? If not, change it. But don't escape it. The worst thing you can do is fill your life with noise, just to avoid feeling alone. Because then, you will be surrounded. and still empty. Master solitude, and you'll never fear abandonment again, because you'll know you're enough, not in a delusional, arrogant way, but in a controlled, grounded way. You won't need constant reassurance. You won't need attention to feel alive. You will move with purpose. Understand this clearly. The world does not reward the loudest person. It rewards the most prepared one. While others are busy being social, be strategic. While others are busy talking, be learning. While others are busy showing off, be improving. And when the time comes to act decisively. Loneliness is sharpening you right now. If it hurts, good. Pain means you're aware. Use that awareness. Channel it. Convert emotion into execution. Don't post about your struggles. Don't announce your grind. Don't seek sympathy. Silence. Work. Repeat. That's the formula. If you think you're alone, remember this. So was Ayanokoji. And he became someone no one could control. No one could predict. No one could defeat easily. Not because he had support, but because he mastered himself. You don't need a crowd. You need control. You don't need constant company. You need clarity. You don't need everyone to understand you. You need to understand yourself. The version of you that survives loneliness is stronger than the version that depends on connection. So stop asking, why am I alone? Start asking, how can I use this? Every quiet night is training. Every empty weekend is opportunity. Every moment of isolation is preparation. One day you won't be alone. People will come. Opportunities will come. Attention will come. But if you haven't built yourself during this phase, you won't be ready. So embrace it. The silence, the distance, the emptiness. Sit with it. Control it. Dominate it. Because when you can stand alone without feeling weak, you become unshakable. And unshakable people, they don't beg for connection. They choose it. If you think you're alone, good. That means it's time to build, quietly, relentlessly, without excuses, without drama, without fear, just like Ayanokoji. Because weakness stops when comfort begins. And you don't need comfort. You need transformation. You're still thinking about the people who left, still thinking about the messages that never came, still replaying conversations in your head. Stop. That mental replay is not loyalty. It's attachment. And attachment is a chain. Kiyotaka Ayanokoji never chained himself to people emotionally. He understood something you're still learning. People are variables. They enter. They exit. They change. If your stability depends on variables, your life will always feel unstable. You say you're alone, but what you really mean is, no one is choosing me. And that hurts your ego. Be honest. It's not the silence that hurts. It's the rejection. It's the feeling of not being prioritized. But listen carefully. If someone doesn't choose you, that's information. Information is power. It tells you exactly where you stand. And once you know where you stand, you can stop expecting. Expectations create disappointment. Preparation creates dominance. While you're waiting for someone to show up for you, you're delaying the moment you show up for yourself. That's the real betrayal. Not them leaving. You abandoning your own growth because you're emotionally distracted. You want to know why isolation feels heavy? Because when there's no one else to blame, you are left with yourself. No distractions, no excuses, just you. And that confrontation is uncomfortable. But discomfort is a forge. Steel is shaped in heat. Character is shaped in solitude. Most people spend their lives avoiding that heat. They jump from friendship to friendship, from relationship to relationship, from group to group, anything to avoid facing their own emptiness. You have a rare opportunity. You're in the fire. Now decide. Will you melt, or will you harden? Ayanokoji never feared being misunderstood. He allowed people to underestimate him. He allowed them to think he was average. Why? Because when people underestimate you, they relax. And when they relax, you gain leverage. Right now, the world thinks you're nothing special. Good. That gives you time. Time to build without pressure. Time to improve without expectation. Time to sharpen your edge without competition. Loneliness is not your enemy. Dependence is. You think having people around automatically makes you strong? Look around. Most groups are built on insecurity. People gather because they're afraid to stand alone. They laugh loudly to hide their doubts. They constantly talk to avoid thinking. They cling to each other because silence scares them. You're sitting in silence. That means you're already different. Now take it further. Instead of asking, who will stay in my life? Ask, if everyone left, would I still be powerful? That's the real test. Can you train when no one is watching? Can you improve when no one is praising you? Can you stay disciplined when no one is checking on you? That's where superiority is born. Self-discipline without supervision. Self-belief without validation. Self-control without applause. If you master that, you won't just survive loneliness. You'll prefer it. Because you'll realize something dangerous. When you are emotionally independent, no one can manipulate you. No one can threaten you with absence. No one can control your mood with their attention. That is freedom. And freedom feels lonely at first, because you're no longer attached. But once you taste that freedom, you'll never trade it for weak connections again. Let me be direct. You're not alone because you're unworthy. You're alone because you're in transition. Old environments don't fit you anymore. Old conversations don't stimulate you anymore. Old versions of you are dying, and death is quiet. Growth is quiet. Rebirth is quiet. The loud part comes later. The results come later. The respect comes later. Right now, it's silent. Accept that phase. You don't need 10 fake friends. You need one solid direction. You don't need constant social proof. You need internal proof. Every time you finish a workout. Every time you complete a task you didn't feel like doing. Every time you control your emotions instead of reacting impulsively. That's proof. Proof that you're evolving. And evolution often feels like isolation. Because not everyone grows at the same pace. Some people stay mentally 16 forever, chasing attention, chasing trends, chasing approval. If you choose discipline over dopamine, you will separate from them naturally. And separation feels like loneliness, but it's actually alignment. Alignment with your future self. Imagine this version of you 1 year from now. Stronger body, sharper mind, calm presence, controlled emotions, focused routine. Now ask yourself, would that version of you be crying about being alone, or would he be too busy building? Exactly. You don't lack people. You lack perspective. You're measuring your value based on how many people surround you. That's weak mathematics. Measure your value based on competence, skills, knowledge, discipline, composure, control. When Ayanokoji enters a situation, he doesn't panic. He observes, he analyzes, he waits. You need that same patience with your life. Stop rushing to fill the silence. Let it teach you. Silence teaches you what you actually enjoy. Silence teaches you what thoughts dominate your mind. Silence exposes your fears. And once exposed, they can be dismantled. If you feel lonely at night, use that time to think strategically. What skills will make you valuable in 5 years? What habits are destroying your potential? What weaknesses are you avoiding? Write them down. Attack them systematically. Loneliness gives you time. Time is the most unfair advantage. Most people waste it chasing temporary connections. You can invest it building permanent strength, but only if you stop feeling sorry for yourself. Be cold with your emotions, not emotionless, controlled. There's a difference. You can acknowledge that loneliness hurts, but you don't let it dictate your actions. You don't let it weaken your routine. You don't let it define your identity. You are not the lonely one. You are the one in preparation. And preparation phases are always hidden. You don't see the roots of a tree growing underground. But that doesn't mean growth isn't happening. Right now your roots are growing. Deeper, stronger, invisible. One day your results will surface. And people will think it happened overnight. They won't know about the isolation. They won't know about the silent battles. They won't know about the nights you wanted to quit but didn't. But you will know. And that internal confidence, it's different. It doesn't seek approval. It doesn't chase praise. It simply exists. Unmovable. You're alone? Then become your own competition. Track your progress. Beat yesterday's version of yourself. Refine your weaknesses. Study human behavior. Learn emotional control. Develop physical endurance. Create structure. Structure kills chaos. And chaos is what loneliness feels like when you don't control it. Once your days are structured, loneliness becomes productivity. Once your mind is disciplined, silence becomes clarity. Once your body is trained, isolation becomes strength. Stop looking at your phone hoping someone saves you from boredom. Save yourself from mediocrity instead. No one is coming. And that's not sad. That's empowering. Because it means your future depends on you. Not on someone staying. Not on someone caring. Not on someone noticing. You. If you think you're alone, remember this. The strongest versions of people are built in isolation. The most dangerous minds are developed in silence. The most unshakable individuals are forged without applause. So don't run from this phase. Dominate it. Use it. Transform inside it. And when people finally enter your life, they won't find someone desperate. They'll find someone disciplined, composed, strategic, unattached, and powerful. So stay quiet, stay focused, stay relentless. If you think you're alone, good. That means you're still in the making. And when you're finished, you won't fear loneliness. Loneliness will fear you.